Good afternoon. My name is Dana McCroskey, and I'm going to share with you the results of my action research project. The purpose of this study is to determine the effectiveness of the TELBAC system on improving student performance and motivation in American history class. Two of my 7th and 8th grade American history classes will participate in this study. One class will be the control group with no changes being made to instruction. The other class will receive treatment and participate in doing TELBACs. Entrance and exit quizzes will be given for each lesson to measure gains from the method of instruction. The treatment group exit quiz averages will be compared to those from a previous chapter to measure if TELBACs improved their performance. The treatment group will take a survey after the study to measure motivation of them using TELBACs. Finally, field notes were taken to note teacher thoughts of the usage of TELBACs. The results of this study will indicate if implementing the TELBAC system assisted with increasing performance and student motivation. My question posed to you is, which picture, the traditional sit and get method on the left and the student share picture on the right, shows students learning more information? Or from a student's perspective, which one looks more motivating? As teachers, we're always looking for new, innovative ideas to get our students motivated and learning. The TELBAC method consists of a group of students, two students that get together, and one student shares their notes or information learned with the partner, and the other student is listening to their partner and comparing his or her notes. Typically, the TELBACs are done for 1 minute, and then their roles switch. And then more information is given. Depending on the amount of information given during a lesson, you might want to do it for 2 minutes. I've done it for 2 minutes as well. The question of the study is, do TELBACs lead to improved performance or increased motivation? I will use a non-equivalent control group with method with my quantitative data, in which I will have one group receive treatment, the other group not receive treatment. That's going to be my control group. And then I will compare the data of the entrance and exit quizzes on both of those groups. With the qualitative data, I'm going to use a single measurement with the student surveys and also with my field notes. Some of the research that I've learned is that there's this gentleman named Kagan that has developed many learning strategies, and you might remember the pair-share method, or think, pair, share. What they stated in their research is that when students are that this method has increased student engagement, and that when engagement is done, the students pay attention, they're motivated, and they learn more, and their learning actually sticks for a longer period. They also found that this method is motivating for them, and that students have reported a joy of learning and more interest and likeness of school. When the students are talking, they're building oral language skills. It's noted that learning is mediated by oral language, and it's the most powerful learning tool that students can learn. It also gives a chance for students to formulate their own ideas, and when they share their thinking with other students. It definitely enhances listening skills for the students that are the active listeners. They Students are able to develop their own ability and filter in information and draw their own conclusions from what they're listening to from the other students. They're able to consider another student's point of views and develops that understanding as well. Student interactions are increased. Everyone's voices are being heard. Teachers are talking less, and students are talking more. The participants of my study were 7th and 8th grade students in American history class. One class, the method was implemented. The other class, which became my control group, I did nothing new with my instruction. Materials used are the American history book that I've used all year. I created entrance and exit quizzes with them. I also made the outline of their notes ahead of time, like I always have, and shared those notes with them on the computer, the electronic version. That's why they need their own computers. As the lessons were going, I would type notes from that outline and share it to my television screen at the beginning, at the front of the room, and they would take their own notes using that. The final thing that the students needed to do was just for the survey group, the control group, they took a student survey on motivation at the end of the implemented time. These are step-by-steps of how each lesson was done. The control group was done very similar to the treatment group, where I would read part of the lesson to the class, pause, model notes, and we would repeat that process. At the beginning of each lesson, students would do an entrance quiz, then they would do the exit quiz, and all that information would be evaluated. The change with the treatment group is highlighted in yellow, in which I would monitor tellbacks and time tellbacks. The students would do tellbacks, and I took my own field notes during that time, and the students also did the survey of the treatment group. They took their surveys at the end. This is the first graph that yielded results. The dark green and the light green are the control group quiz averages. The dark green shows the quizzes before the lesson. The light green showed the quiz percentages after. And obviously there are great gains with that group and the other group and the treatment group on before and after lesson, before and after the presentation of the lesson. The dark brown shows the treatment group's quizzes before the lesson, and the light brown shows us the quizzes after the lesson. Overall, there's an average of 50 percentage point gains with the control group and an average of 56% gain with the treatment group. That yields a difference of 6 percentage points, which can be half a grade level, half a letter grade. This graph number 2 is just my treatment group. I used a previous chapter lesson quizzes from those end of lesson quizzes, just because I wanted to make sure that the gains were made from the tellbacks. So the green shows the average of the lesson quizzes from a different chapter before they even use tellbacks. The dark brown shows the lesson quiz averages after the tellback method. So again, it does reinforce that tellback method increased their gains. The average gain was 7 percentage points. In fact, if you will see there, almost every single lesson quiz average gained them a full letter grade, from like a B to an A. The results of the survey are a lot different from what I expected. They were to answer one on on each of these questions if they strongly disagreed, to a 5 if they strongly agreed to each of these statements. And it did show that they thought that the tailbacks were easy to do and that they were overall okay doing them, because those both yielded a 4 or better. But it's inconclusive. In fact, it shows them that they don't think that tailbacks encourage them to learn any more information from each lesson than what they were doing them. This is interesting. The last question, survey question, asked them to write in their own answer on what they would like to see them help motivate them with their tailbacks. And several of them said that they liked tailbacks and that they were doing okay, but several of them also thought that enticing them with food would make them do better with their tailbacks. So that kind of shows the seriousness of my kiddos that were studied. These are my observations during the tailbacks. It was very interesting. I thought that most of the groups were engaging. They were doing a wonderful job. They were motivated, but there were some students that I could tell also that they didn't think that the tailbacks were very serious, and they were kind of silly when they implemented them. So they were off task, and they weren't presenting the information to their partner. They were pretending like they were doing a tailback, and they weren't. So this is why I think that there's more time that will be needed to actually see if this method is effective with them. I went over most of my analysis when I was going over the graphs. I do think that tailbacks can improve performance. I also do think that they could improve motivation, as noted in my field notes, but according to the student data, motivation isn't there. It's a very easy method for anyone to try in their classroom, and there's not much planning at all in them. I'm going to share this information with my middle school team to see if maybe some of them want to bring tailbacks back into their classroom. I'm going to share them with other teachers and with my cohort teachers, of course. I'm also going to reflect upon those student surveys to see if I can bring in some more fun projects and historical videos, and maybe entice them with some jelly beans or something like that when they get quiz questions correct. So the overall problem we're looking for is new methods to teach. Teachers are always doing that, but the truth is there is no one-size-fits-all method for teachers and making learning effective for them. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.